The world didn't collapse all at once. It wasn't sudden. There was no final warning, no singular catastrophe. It happened slowly, like a slow breath held for too long, until the lungs forget how to exhale. First, the skies changed. Then the cities emptied. And finally, the people stopped listening, not because there was nothing left to say, but because the words had lost their meaning. The remains of the old world still stand, barely. Skeletons of buildings, roads cracked like dry skin, machines rusted into stillness. Everything speaks of what was lost, but says nothing of what remains. In the middle of this silence, a single man walks. No fanfare, no crowd, no name. He doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. His presence carries weight. Not the weight of fear or violence, but of purpose. He moves like someone on a path only he can see. There is no map, no compass, only instinct, memory, and a force within him that never stops pulling forward. People see him and turn away, not out of hate, not out of pity, but because they know he is not like them anymore. He walks alone, but the way he walks, you'd swear the road knows him by heart. He carries little on him, a worn coat, a weathered bag, dust-covered boots that have seen more of the world than most ever will. But inside that bag, something rests, something far more important than food or bullets. A book, old, bound, heavy, not in weight, but in meaning. It is not just a story, not just ink on paper. It is what's left of an idea the world abandoned. He never shows it, never speaks of it, but you can feel it, how tightly he holds it, how his movements change when others get too close. To some, it would be nothing, a relic of a forgotten world. But to him, it'd carry it for power. He doesn't want to be a leader or a prophet. He carries it because he knows it must be protected, because what's inside might be the last truth this broken world will ever know. As he walks, the land unfolds like a scar. Twisted metal, collapsed homes, burned signs that once told people where to go. Now, there's nowhere to go, but still he walks, not because he's searching, but because he's delivering something to someone, somewhere, who may not even exist. But that doesn't matter. Some journeys are not about the end. They're about the walk itself. He's not the strongest man you'll see, not the biggest, not the fastest, but there is something about him, something that makes even the most dangerous people hesitate. It's not in his words. He barely speaks. It's not in his weapons. He barely shows them. It's in his silence, a kind of calm that only comes from knowing exactly who you are and why you're still alive. He's not walking to survive. He's walking for something greater, something he never brags about, something sacred. The world around him is cold and dry. Not just the land, but the people. They no longer remember what kindness looks like. They fight for scraps, kill for water, and they fear anything they don't understand. They fear him. They sense that what he carries isn't ordinary. They see how he guards his bag like it's holding something holy. And in a way, it is. But he doesn't let them get too close. He avoids towns unless he needs to. Speaks only when spoken to, fights only when forced. And when he fights, it's not out of anger, it's out of purpose. Every move is clean, every strike calculated, as if the violence is not about victory, but necessity. Then he moves on, without gloating, without regret, because the road doesn't wait, and neither does he. Sometimes he passes through settlements, small, desperate places clinging to the bones of the old world. People gather around fire barrels, trade rusted goods, and speak in whispers, afraid to raise their voices in a world that no longer forgives. He moves through them like a shadow, not invisible, just untouchable. Children stare. Men glance with suspicion. Women wonder what he's seen. But he doesn't linger. If he eats, it's barely enough. If he sleeps, it's with one eye open and a hand near his weapon. He never fully rests, because peace is a luxury this world doesn't offer. Sometimes, someone will try to stop him, offer him shelter, ask him questions, try to take what he carries, and that's when they realize this quiet man is not defenseless. His calm is not weakness, it's control. And when broken, it's followed by swift consequences. But he escalates, never threatens, never warns. He simply responds, and always walks away. To some, he's a ghost. To others, a myth. But to him, he's just a man on a road that won't let him turn back. He doesn't chase redemption. He carries it, not for himself, but for a world that forgot what it means to believe in something. Anything. At night, when the winds die down and the stars twinkle in a smoke-covered sky, he finds a place to sit, not to sleep. He doesn't trust the dark much, but to remember. He pulls the book from his bag, cautiously, as if it might crumble if he touched it too quickly. He doesn't read it aloud. He doesn't need to. The words are hidden inside him, memorized, etched in the emptiness where most men cradle regret. Sometimes his lips move, silent recitations deep within himself, not for ritual, not for comfort, but for coping, because in a world where nothing seems set in stone, these words linger. They're what keeps him going, what steadies his mind, what reminds him there's more to protect than just his life. The fire he lights is small, no smoke, no warmth, light enough to see the book, to remember why the road must continue. He sleeps in fragments. His body aches, but the pain is part of the journey, and he made peace with it long ago. Tomorrow, the road stretches forward again. Same dust, same silence, same hunger, but also same mission. And as long as his legs carry him, as long as the book is safe, he will keep going. Because some messages are worth carrying, even if no one is left to listen. He's not trying to fix the world. He knows it might never be fixed. He's just trying to present a part of it intact, a part that might plant a seed, a sentence, a spark, enough for someone else, years from now, to pick up the message and carry it far. Because sometimes you don't see the tree. You just plant the seed and move on. The journey isn't measured by miles. It's measured by scars. The wounds on his hands, the limp of his walk, the stillness of his voice. Each step is a story he doesn't tell. The world around him no longer celebrates strength. It rewards brutality. And he's seen what people become when they stop seeing each other as human. But he hasn't given up. Not completely. He still notices the little things. A flower growing on a cracked sidewalk. A tune whistled by a stranger. A child drawing in the dirt. Signs that something human still remains. He doesn't journal these moments. He doesn't record them. But he keeps them deep inside as reminders of what he seeks. Because the journey isn't just about the book. It's about ensuring the world is worthy of it. If what he holds is the last piece of something sacred, it needs to reach hands that will honor it, not use it. That's why he doesn't advertise what he owns. That's why he keeps it hidden, shrouded, protected, because power is dangerous. But the truth in the wrong hands is destructive. And he's seen what happens when people twist the truth into something else. He walks not just to deliver the book, but to make sure he doesn't fall for the wrong story. There was a time when roads led to places, cities, homes, people. Now they lead only to ruin. But he follows them anyway, not because he expects comfort at the end, but because the road still matters. He passes the empty shells of what used to be cities, skyscrapers half-eaten by time, shops looted to bare concrete, churches left standing but silent. He passes by these ghosts, like a man passing through memories that aren't his own. Sometimes he stops, not for long, just long enough to remember the meaning of these places, before people forget anything at all. A bench, a sign, a mural, partly faded by sun and smoke. For others, it's trash. For him, it's proof that the world once believed in beauty. And if he believed once, maybe he'll believe again. But faith needs something to hold on to. A voice, a page, a symbol. That's why a book matters. That's why walking matters. That's why he keeps moving. Even when his legs tremble, even when his throat burns, even when his hope fades. Because the only thing worse than losing the truth is giving it up. He doesn't know who will receive the book. He doesn't know if they will understand it. But that's not his burden. Enough to know what's been lost. Enough to know what's worth continuing. But at that moment, under that sky, something inside him softens. He walks again, only forward. There is still someone chasing him. He doesn't warn. He moves with the ease and precision of a man who has lived through many ambushes. He touches the book more now. Not to read, not to remind himself, but as a ritual. A sign of trust between man and message. He no longer fears. He whispers to the book, as if to say to it, "We have arrived." There is no fear in his